month day. All right. So basically, they're doing the opposite thing. The day of year will, given the March 15, it will return the number of days in that in the year time, right? That's 74. Uh, versus the month, they will turn it back. Okay, so let's look at the day of year first. This is the initial function. We have looked at, oops. Yeah, this is the initial version we have looked at in last class. What I do is it will read which year it is, which month it is, and which date it is, right? Use the year to determine if it's a leap year or not. And then use the months and our date table, right? You remember we have a date table to add up all the days to the existing dates, right? So if we have this March the 15th, so initially the day is 15, right? We have days starting with 15. Then we look up in our date table to find what is the how many days in February, and we add that to our date, and how many months in January, we add it to our date. So in total, the date is 74. All right. So this is, again, this is the previous version. So what do we want you to do in this exercise is to figure out how to convert into this pointer version, which is like this. Okay, so instead, we're searching up the date table directly. We were pointing at the beginning of that particular row, right? We remember they will have two rows in our date table, so we use a pointer to pointing at the beginning of this table, and then we can read the value from this table using this pointer way. Okay, this is what I mean to do the conversion. Right. So first of all, we pointing our pointer to a particular row in our data table, date table, and then we use our pointer operation to extract the value from our date table. Okay, so this is how you do for the day of year. Now, what I want you to do is to convert this month date, which is reverse operation. This is a non-pointer version, and I want you to convert it into a pointer version. All right, please go ahead. Yeah, so this is the non-pointer version. Please understand what it means and then convert it into this pointer version. Yeah, please go ahead. So there's some connection issue inside.
Yeah, one of the devices it happened before where one of the devices froze.
Yeah.
So once that freezes, it freezes everything.
Yeah, I mean, 50% of the time I come to this classroom, something wrong happens.
We should schedule some. Yeah, we've talked to them about the vendor that actually does it. We've talked to them about it, but then they're basically going to escalate it further that they have to fix it.
Yeah,
If they have to replace that device, they'll have to.
yeah, it seems like not very reliable.
Yes.
Okay, we'll let you. Thank you. All right, so let's look at this question again. The idea is very similar to this day of year function. We're getting this pointer pointing at a particular row in our day table, and we'll iterate through this row, right, using this pointer. Essentially is we'll keep increment this number until we see that it's the end of the line symbol, right, the new terminator. Before that, we'll keep adding or actually removing the months of the months from this table, right? So we have 85 days in total, right? Now we're removing the days of the February and January from this date. So here we were doing is, as long as we're having our year of days still greater than the months, we'll keep doing this, and then we'll remove that particular month, right? So that's another approach, I guess. So let's say we have 85 days, and we keep looking up this day table to remove the February, January, February, until we find, oh, the total amount of days are smaller than the next month, so we stop doing that. Well, that's another way, I guess. But again, the point of here is to let you understand how to use this pointer correctly, right? You have to put your brackets very precisely. If we don't have this brackets, right, so that's different. So with this bracket, you are pointing at the second address of this array and then getting the value of this array, right? So this is or not necessarily second, but whatever n position, right, from there, from the beginning of your array, and get the value from. So this is the critical part in this exercise. All right. So in our course name, we talk about C language and Unix system, and we haven't even talked about Unix system too much yet. Essentially, what happened is we talk about Unix system is made by C language, right? So all the command you're using in the Unix system are made as a C function or C program instead. So when we made a C program, and obviously we have a main function inside our C program, right? And often we not just want to call the function alone and ask for user input. Sometimes we want to do that, but sometimes we also want to pass some arguments inside this function. All right, we will look at more example later, but let's first start with a very simple command. No, this is a Unix command, echo. Okay, so essentially this echo is a program made by C. So you have a file called echo. Inside echo, you have the main function and do a bunch of things instead. So now you're calling this C program in the Unix system, right? Just like you run the Python code or Java code, right? You run this Java and you pass some arguments along with it. So how Unix handle the argument is it will convert all the inputs into two parts. One is argument count. Okay, the other is argument value. Okay, argument count is an integer, just telling your program how many argument has been passed through, and the argument value is each single string break it up by space, right? So our input is echo hello world, right? Even the name of our program itself is considered as an argument. However, to user, the real argument is everything after that, right? The command itself is not the argument to our user perspective, but to the programmer, well, to the Unix system, it is. That means we should at least have one, right? We should have at least the command itself. You can allow not to contain other things, but now we're talking about these scenarios. So this could be how our echo function works. So we're reading to two value, all right? One is an integer, which is how many arguments we're receiving. Second is a pointer of array, right? So this again, this pointer of array is very suitable for storing different strings with different lengths, right? Because our argument could be sometimes is a pass, right? Pass to a file, or sometimes it's just a flag. So it could have different lengths. That makes it very ideal to use this type of pointer array. So then we will iterate through our arguments and to print them out one by one. All right, so we have for loop because we know how many arguments we have already, but we will start with one because the first one we just ignore it. That's the command itself. We just ignore it. We start with 1 instead of 0 here. And then we'll print out every single value one by one. After we print out this value as a string, right? The second thing we want to print out is a character which is either a space or enter if we are reaching the end of the argument. So we'll use this statement to determine if we're reaching the end of this argument. If not yet, we'll put space. Otherwise, we'll put new lines. So this function could be simplified. As you can imagine, we can simplify this for loop by replacing it with a while loop. This is the while loop version of the same thing. So we'll do the while. Every iteration will reduce the number of argument count by 1 until we're reaching 0, right? And every time we do that, we print out the argument value. So the second part is the same. Further, we can simplify this code again by updating this part, right? So how we're going to do that is we will use our shorthand expression on the formatting side, okay, rather than the character side. This even making our program even shorter. So we'll compare if our count is greater than 0. If that's the case, we'll print the string with a space. Otherwise, we'll print the string with a new line. Right. Okay, so this is the first case. We're looking at how to do the arguments, okay, with our main function. In the next class, which is next Thursday, we'll talk about next Thursday. Sorry, we're going to talk about more complicated scenarios, such as if we want to send in any flag, if we have a sort function, right? Initially, we sort it's from the smallest to biggest, but sometimes we want to sort reversibly, right? How we can do that by passing argument as a flag. All right, yeah, that's it for today's class, and I will see you. And again, next Tuesday will be our exam in this classroom, and Thursday we'll continue on this topic. Yeah, if you have any classmate you know they didn't show up today, remind them we have changed our classroom. Otherwise, they cannot find place for their exam. Sorry? Next week. Next week is the study week. Yeah, after the week comes.